Well, good evening everyone, and thank you so much for having me here. This is a subject that I think Mr. Suri Sethi has brought up very beautifully, but something I subscribe to fully, because I firmly believe that if we want to get our children skilled enough to survive in the 21st century, then we need to give them a completely different skill set to what we have been doing in the past. You know, we have inherited an education system from the British, and the Brits had only one thing in mind. They did not want a thinking population. They wanted a population that will only follow orders. And unfortunately, despite being independent for so many years, we have been subjecting our children to the same type of education. And now we turn around and say, why don't the children think? Why aren't they creative? Why aren't they innovative? The answer lies that we haven't empowered them to, and we haven't helped them to. And I think I'm glad we are all waking up now, and hopefully we are doing something about it. And gamification, something that Vidushi has started, is an amazing way of teaching. Because I have always believed that if children are happy with what they are doing, learning happens, whether you're in school or wherever you may be. And when you gamify a subject, it brings a completely different perspective. And you know, something we haven't thought about maybe, but when you gamify a subject, it forces you to think, it forces you to explore. When you think and explore, you then innovate. And what is the 21st century about? What is staring us in our eyes? Talk about artificial intelligence and robots and other things. It's all dependent on innovation. So if we want to leverage the demographic, so-called demographic dividend of India, of so many young people, we need to give them these skills. If we don't give them the skills, rather than driving the bus, they will get exploited by other countries. So, you know, gamification brings together two very important things. It brings together technology and the pedagogy. You see, we need both. We can't say do away with the pedagogy, because certain amount of knowledge and learning is essential. But by marrying it with technology, you make it relevant for today's student. And that is how you help them to move forward, to make things. For example, we have number of Nobel laureates who are people of Indian origin in other countries. How is it that they go and make those discoveries there and not here? Because there you are made to think, you are made to innovate. They have the facility to do that. They encourage to do that. So they bloom. So that means, can you imagine how many children in India would bloom if you would give them these kind of opportunities? And I think as educators and as members of the public, parents, others should subscribe to this. And I have some message for parents here, because there are so many parents. Too much focus we give on grades. You know, as a principal of a school, this was an issue I should deal with constantly. Parents would come and say, you know, he got 25 marks, why is my son got 23? How does it make a difference? What is important is, does your child understand the concept? Is he thinking on his own? And please remember, every child is not academically proficient to get 100 marks, but that doesn't make them any less. And when you have competitions like this, what has been organized today, that is what you're aiming at. Children with different talents are able to showcase and are able to gain confidence, and they're able to move ahead. I've been in education, educationist all my life, in the sense I've been a school teacher basically, and my time has always been spent in the classroom, and it's always been a battle with the managements of many schools that why should everybody teach in one particular manner? Why can we not innovate? And why do we have to rote learn? But unfortunately, our CBSE system gives marks if you rote learn. So you're forced to push children through that. But parents at home, you have the facility. Allow your children to bloom. let them explore, let them find out. But you need to also keep a supervisory eye. Remember, the internet can also be very dangerous. And the only way you can make sure that the internet benefits your children is if school and parents get together and educate young people on how to make best use of the internet. See, the internet is not going to go away. Technology is not going to go away. They have come and they're going to stay. Like all things in life, you have good side and you have bad sides. Everything has ups and downs. It's for us as educationists and parents to work with our children and make them aware of the ups and downs so that later on they can make an informed choice about what it is that they want to use it for. And one of the stories I love to share is about a student of mine. When Sanskriti was a new school, everybody advised me, in the 11th class, take only students with very high scores because people will judge your school by marks. And I had this one resume in front of me with ridiculously low marks. And I was thinking in my mind, well, obviously I can't say yes to this admission. When the mother came in with the child, and then she told me, you know, ma'am, I'm just trying my luck, but if you don't take my child, I won't mind because I know he's useless. Now, when I heard that word, I decided I'm going to take that child. Because how can a mother call her child useless? Can you imagine the damage that we do to the kid? So we took the child in, and I told the teachers, he looks a bright kid, he speaks well, let's find out why is he not performing. And we discovered that he couldn't retain. He had limitations on retaining information. So we prepared him for the exam with 50% of the course, and he got about 55% and he passed. And then he's today a top graphic designer in Delhi. See, academics was not his forte, but graphic designing was. But our education system did not allow that poor child to shine in that. So therefore, parents, do not lose heart if your child doesn't want to become an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer, or a chartered accountant. There are lots and lots of careers out there which are fulfilling and which also pay well. So your children will do well and they look after you all in your old age. So it's important that we don't lose sight of this and that we keep in mind that we keep saying child-centric, but we do everything adult-centric. So we need to look at that, and here I come back again to technology because it is technology that is going to carry us forward. You know, artificial intelligence is quite scary. I think we should all read up about it. It can be quite scary also as to where it can take us. So we have to prepare our kids for all that. And therefore, I think the kind of course that she is doing is amazing. I am at the moment in a foundation where I do something different. We developed a curriculum on what I call life skills for the 21st century. Not a moral science, but things like what do you do in conflict resolution? How do you deal with ethical dilemmas? If you're a member of a team, how do you function? Why is teamwork so important nowadays? So I've developed an entire curriculum on that with a team, and we run it in about, I think, 7,000 schools across India at the moment. And I'm hoping with Vidushi to gamify that curriculum and send it out so that more children would pay attention to it. You see, education is about academics, but it's also about developing your personality. But when we develop the personality and behavior of a kid, it has to be relevant to the days that will come. Not that when I was young, it happened like that. When I was young, days are gone, never going to come back. They're different days now. So how do we empower our kids to deal with those different days? And it can't be only through knowledge and academics. It also has to be their growth of their own personality, the understanding of their inner self, and an understanding of yourself in relationship to the outer world. You know, when we followed the Western education system, we grabbed everything they had which is very good, their logic and reasoning, but we threw something out which we shouldn't have, and that's the quintessential Indian belief in spirituality. See, spirituality has nothing to do with religion. Spirituality is to understand yourself and your relationship and responsibility to the outer world and society. And that's completely missing from our education. And that was, if you go back and study our Gurukul system and all, that was a fundamental aspect of our education. And that is something that we need to bring back into our own education system as well. And therefore, I'd like to conclude now with a favorite story of mine of how we should look at and deal with children and how do we empower them. There was this village where there was a local saint, and he was the know-all. The village did nothing without consulting. He was like the oracle, so to say. So the children in that village got fed up. They said, our parents are such idiots. Why are they listening to this old man all the time? Times have changed. And how do we make our parents more aware? So they plotted. So they decided they'll take a butterfly and keep it in the palm of their hand and cover it. And they'll go and ask him, is this butterfly dead or alive? If he said dead, they'll open their hands and the butterfly will fly. If he says alive, they'll just squeeze it and show him a dead butterfly. Either way, he was dead, so to say. So they waited, collected a whole lot of people in the evening, and they went up and they said, Babaji, please let us know. We have a butterfly here. You are the fount of all knowledge. So let us know whether it is alive or dead. So this Baba was quiet for a while, and the children thought, there, we have got him now. So he just smiled at them and he said, children, it is all in your hands. So that is the message I have for everybody. Thank you very much for your patient listening, and thank you, Vidush.
That was truly a power-packed discussion. Thank you for adding those personal thoughts of yours. I'd like to invite Mr. Sudarshan Daga. He is the co-founder of WizJuniors.com to felicitate Mrs. Gowri Ishwaran. He is also a certified gamifying trainer and a Google certified educator. Thank you, Mrs. Gowri. It was a very engaging